In this video, we're going to be making a cookie clicker game in Scratch. So at the end of the tutorial, you should have something that looks kind of like this. If you don't want to follow along and instead want the completed project files, you can buy them right here. Alright, so the first thing we're gonna need is our cookie, so Scratch Cat. You gotta go. And we're going to be choosing a new sprite and pressing paint. And let's call this sprite cookie. So let's just draw a circle. And then let's make it kind of a tan color for the cookie color. Boom, boom. There we go. I'm going to change the color of the outline too. So it's kind of a darker color of this. So now let's click on the reshape tool. And what we're gonna do is click and add some different points around the cookie. And what this is going to do is help us add some unevenness to the cookie, because we all know that cookies aren't perfect circles. Boom, boom, boom. And you can see it's kind of starting to look more like a cookie. Now let's add some chocolate chips. So let's click on the circle tool again and let's choose a brownish color, kind of like that. All right, so now let's reshape it. And they're kind of shaped like triangles, like a teardrop like that. So we're just going to make one singular chocolate chip, and then we're going to press copy and paste. And the neat little shortcut, if you're on Windows, you can press Ctrl C, Ctrl V to duplicate it. Ctrl C, Ctrl V. Or if you click on something you want to duplicate, you can hold down Alt on your keyboard and then drag, and it will make a copy of it, just like that. All right, so I think I just have to distribute these around so it looks more like a cookie. Why does this look so fake? Let's add some random sizes. All right, there goes our cookie. So in Cookie Clicker, there is a score, and every time you click on the cookie, the score is gonna go up. So let's go to variables, and let's delete the my variable right here. That's just a placeholder, and let's click on make a variable and let's call it score. What we need to do is code the cookie to change the score by 1 every time we click on it, which is pretty easy. When green flag clicked, forever, if touching mouse pointer, and then we also need a mouse down block in sensing. So if touching mouse pointer and mouse down, that basically says if we're getting clicked on. Then we're going to change score by 1. When we click on the cookie, look at the score, we're in the millions by now. The reason that's happening is because we didn't add a delay after changing the score. So let's go to control, let's do wait until, and then let's go to operators and let's drag out not. And then let's drag out another mouse down in sensing. And let's also reset the score to 0 after when green flag clicked. So now we can't hold down the cookie, and that makes it way harder to cheat unless you have like an auto clicker or macro. All right, so now we gotta click on the cookie for every time and our score goes up. All right, so now that we have our cookie and you can click it, let's add some special effects to it because it's just boring and bland right now. So the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna add a size effect. So let's do when green flag clicked, forever, change size by, and I'm gonna need you to follow along really closely because it's gonna get complicated fast. So let's go to operators, let's do divided by, let's do minus, let's add a plus, and then let's do multiply by. So let's type in 100 in here. And for this multiply block, we're actually going to go to sensing and drag out touching mouse pointer, multiplied by 50, a minus size divided by 3. So that means when we mouse over the cookie, you can see it gets bigger. And then when we don't touch it, then it gets smaller. And we can actually reduce the size that it goes by with this. You just changed to 50, I changed it to 10. Because 10 was just way too much. And then let's go over here to under change score by 1, and we're going to do change size by 10. And you can see that our cookie kind of grows a little bit. It kind of gets bigger when we click on it, and then it shrinks back to its original size. All right, the next thing we're gonna add is our background. So let's go to stage over here. Let's go to backdrops. And what I'm gonna do is just click on the rectangle tool and let's just draw a blue background. Boom. Okay, just like that. Excellent. Now we're going to add a paint a new sprite, and let's call this shine. And we're going to be working with transparent gradients, so let's click on the rectangle tool and let's choose a dark color, and let's just draw a rectangle right there so we can see. Now we can make our shine effects. So we're going to click on the rectangle tool again, and let's choose a gradient that goes from left to right. For the first color, let's choose white, and for the second color, just click on this red X right there, and then we're going to draw this. And then let me turn off the outline, click on the reshape tool right here, and let's make these edges a little bit, come in a little bit like that. Let's put this shine effect right on the center crosshair right here, and we're going to press copy and paste. If you remember my shortcut from earlier, you should know to press Ctrl C, Ctrl V. So boom, I'm gonna line it up like that. Then I'm going to select both of them, Ctrl C, Ctrl V, which is my shortcut from earlier, and then we rotate it around like this. Let me select all of these shines, Ctrl C, Ctrl V, and then let's rotate it around. And then let me actually shrink these and then move it to the center. And then we can click on the select tool and then delete this background. And you can see why I made that background in the first place, because you can barely see the white color and the transparent background. Alright, so this shine is going to go behind the cookie. So let's go to code, let's go to events, when green flag clicked, go to 0, 0, forever, go to back layer, and let's just turn like 5 degrees. So that's too fast. Let's turn 1 degree. And there we go, we have our little shine effect. Alright, the last thing we're gonna add in our game is going to be upgrades, because every cookie clicker has upgrades. One of the first upgrades that we have, the cookies just get added automatically to the score. So once you buy it, the score is gonna go up by itself. And another upgrade is going to be if you click on the cookie, you get more than 1 point. Let's go to choose a sprite, let's click on paint, and actually let's go to the cookie sprites. Let's copy this with Ctrl C. Let's go to the sprites. Let's call this upgrades. Let's paste the cookie right there, and I'm actually gonna move it down here smaller, a little bit smaller. Yep. Then I'm gonna use the rectangle tool, make a rectangle like that. We'll go to back layer, and then let's click on the text tool and let's change the color to white, and let's call this 1 cookie per second. Alright, so this is gonna be 1 cookie per second, 1 CPS. Then let's duplicate it, let's make another one, and let's call it 1 cookie per click, 1 CPC. And let's change the text here to 1 cookie per click. There we go. Well, let's just expand this out. And what we're going to do is draw another rectangle. Let's make it darker purple. And let's click on the text tool. Let's make it white. And let's do 100. Actually, let's just type 100. That way, this will cost 100 cookies to get 1 cookie per second, which is probably not worth it. That's a scam in broad daylight if I've ever seen one. Let's copy this. Let's click on the rectangle. Let's click on the text, copy, Ctrl C. Let's go to 1 cookie per click. Let's expand this out. Boom. Let's paste, which is Ctrl V. 1 cookie per click. This can cost the same, why not? Alright, so let's code in the 1 cookie per second. So in the code, drag in this code into 1 cookie per second, and this code as well for the size. But we're going to check out this score, the set score to 0, and the change score by 1. So all we have is that size effects. Alright, so let's go to variables, and let's make a variable, and let's call it cookies per second. Now we need to check if we have enough cookies to buy this item. So let's go to control, let's put an if block there, and let's check. Let's go to operators, and let's drag out the more than block, and let's check if our score is more than 99. If it's more than 99, it's gonna be 100, and if it is, we can change cookies per second by 1, and then change score by -100, because we just bought this for 100 cookies. Excellent. So if we click on here, it's not going to work until we get to 100. Oh geez, you know what, I'm going to cheat. Don't do this at home. I'm going to add myself 150 cookies to my score, and let's click on here, and you can see my score went down and I bought 1 cookies per second. Now let's actually change the score by the cookies per second. So let's do when green flag clicked, forever, wait 1 second, change score by cookies per second. And then we also need to reset cookies per second to 0 when the game starts. Alright, let's cheat again. And then let's buy this. And you can see now my score is going up by itself. Now let's code in the cookies per click. So we're going to go to the cookies per second sprites, and we're going to copy this block, the change size by touching mouse pointer, and this one as well. And we're going to leave this code in here. Looking good. So let's make a variable. Let's call it cookies per click. The only thing we're going to change here is this. Instead of change cookies per second by 1, we're going to do change cookies per click by 1. And then the only change we got to make this actually run is in our cookie. What we're going to do is go to variables, and instead of change score by 1, let's do change score by cookies per click. And then we need to reset cookies per click to 1. Excellent. And also, let's rename the score. Let's right click on score, rename variable. Let's just call it cookies. Okay. So let's click on the cookie. And I'm not going to cheat this time. I'm actually going to click all the way to 100. Aha! See that? I didn't even have to cheat. So now let's which one should I buy? Let's do cookies per click. So now we get 2 cookies per click. So now it takes us twice as fast to get to 100. And let's click on cookies per second. Now it's going to be going up, which is kind of overpowered if you ask me. So now we're getting 3 cookies per click. So now it's up to you to add more upgrades. If you wanted to, you can make the game harder by you make this change its costume. Instead of 100, it costs 200. Every time you click on it, it goes up, goes 300, 400. That way it doesn't stay the same price. This tutorial was just a sneak preview at my Scratch coding course for beginners. If you want to learn how to make 6 games, even if you know nothing about coding, then check out my Scratch coding course for beginners at the link in the description. I also have a Scratch book for beginners, which is a half comic book, half workbook, and it just makes it really fun to learn coding as a kid. Oh, and if you want to buy the completed project files, you can use the link in the description to get them.